This comment from last year proves David is 100% guilty. So while people were digging into the David situation, they found this comment by a person named Robin River. At the time of recording, the comment is still up and I can 100% confirm it's real. If you read it, you can see that they knew about David messing around with girls that were not of age all the way back in 2024. Who this Robin person is and how they know this, I don't know, but I will investigate. I'm gonna reach out to them and update you guys if they get back with me.
The story of David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez was already chilling, but when the coroner stepped in, things didn't get clearer. It got darker. On September 8th, neighbors in the Hollywood Hills started complaining about a nasty smell coming from a parked Tesla with Texas plates. When cops finally popped the trunk, it wasn't just a body they found. Reports say it was dismembered remains stuffed into a bag in the car's front trunk. That body was confirmed to be 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a girl who had been reported missing several times in 2024. But here's where the case flipped upside down. The coroner didn't actually say what killed her. Instead, the cause of death was officially marked as deferred.
May be a star witness in the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Till now, it's been a total mystery. Who wrapped her up in plastic and closed her into the trunk of a Tesla until she decomposed beyond recognition? Well, there's a very good chance that the Tesla knows. If you were with us here last night, we listed off all the ways that Teslas record everything that happens around them. And if you missed it, you can check that out on my podcast, Drop Dead Serious. But the 2023 Model Y Tesla is a virtual rolling studio and hard drive all in one. 8 cameras on the outside, 1 camera on the inside. It can tell you who closed that trunk and when that closed trunk happened. It can tell you how many doors opened and closed after that trunk opened and closed for the last time. And it can tell you where the car drove from before it was abandoned. Best case scenario, the car identifies the driver.
That one word had everybody losing it because in cases like this, science is supposed to shut down rumors. But now the silence is even louder than the answers. And in legal terms, deferred can sometimes feel like code for somebody doesn't want the truth written down just yet. And that's when the whispers blew wide open.
News in the David case. It looks like David might have had accomplices. Why? Because a lot of interesting things have been uncovered in an investigative report. One of them is they interviewed the owner of the $20,000 a month house that David and his manager were renting, okay? And it seems that the owner is saying that nothing could have happened in the house without it being recorded.
Celeste wasn't just found in David's car. Her name had already popped up in encrypted files reportedly discovered on his computer. Fans swore those folders had her name tagged multiple times, and the timestamps lined up with the same month she went missing. Now add this twist. The coroner's timeline of her decomposition allegedly didn't even match her last reported sighting. So when you put it all together, strange files, off timelines, and a body hidden in his Tesla, you're left staring at contradictions that don't just raise eyebrows. They spark full-blown suspicions. Speculation only got wilder once the details came out, and the mess just kept spreading.
I wonder why Mr. Burke's not in custody right now. Well, just because it's in his car doesn't mean that he's the one that did this. If you look at what happened with Casey Anthony's case, it's not very similar to it, actually. There was her trunk that smelled like a dead body, but there wasn't enough evidence to link her to the kid. And so until they've got something, they have to have probable cause in order to arrest him. But more than that, in order to bring a case, even though you only need probable cause to charge somebody, a prosecutor has an ethical obligation to not bring a case that he doesn't think he can win beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard for a jury. It might seem like a great idea. You know, I'm going to go with this rapper, but guess what you are? First of all, you're a teenager. You don't have any independent means of support. You don't have your own credit card. You don't have your own job. You don't have your own set of wheels. You don't have your own anything. And guess what that makes you? That makes you controllable.
Police snatched up electronics from David's Hollywood Hills spot, but the drama didn't stop there. Down in Texas, alarms at his Houston property, reportedly connected to his trust funds, went off, and whispers exploded that evidence might have been moved before cops could touch it. Then detectives quietly told outlets that dismemberment usually points to a personal connection between the victim and the suspect. That single line had everybody online losing their minds. And while the investigation swirled, fans couldn't ignore the chilling music ties. One unreleased track, allegedly titled Celeste Demo Unfin, slipped online, while his biggest hit, Romantic Homicide, carried the haunting lyric, "In the back of my mind, I kicked you, and I didn't even regret it." With the coroner refusing to commit on how Celeste actually died, those words don't sound like lyrics anymore. They feel like a warning he wrote in advance. The coroner's job was supposed to bring closure. Instead, that one word, deferred, blew the whole case wide open. The only thing we know for sure, somebody's hiding answers behind locked files and dead silence.
In my classroom, in front of this poster right here. Okay, hold up, I got another one because I got a picture on TMZ of this other kid exchanging stuff with the rapper who we alleged did this stuff. Hold on a second, because he's also in my classroom.
Wait, how long ago was this?
We all just found out yesterday who it was, but she's been missing since I taught her. So when I taught her, she met this dude on social media. He was a rapper in LA. He came and got her. She ran away from home. She was gone for like a month. The cops found her in Hollywood, brought her back to our school. She came back to our school, kind of told people this story. She disappeared again in May of that year, May of 2024. That's when her friends told me what happened, that it was this rapper. And then I found out yesterday that she's now dead in that rapper's car, cut into pieces. You want to know how they met? I feel like I just said it. Social media.
But here's the strangest twist of all. The most important witness in Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death might not even be human. It could be the car itself. Police pulled her remains out of a 2023 Tesla Model Y tied to David, and experts say that Ride could be holding a digital diary of every move made that night. Teslas don't just drive, they spy. With 8 cameras, non-stop sensors, and a system called Sentry Mode, those cars are like rolling surveillance towers, and they allegedly keep watch even when parked and locked. If that system was active, then somewhere in that vehicle could be the smoking gun. Footage of who opened the doors, who popped the trunk, and maybe even who slipped that bag inside. Digital forensic expert Jason Lewis told News Nation that clips like this might still exist unless they were deleted. And that's where the whispers hit harder. Tesla owners allegedly have the power to wipe footage remotely, which means if Sentry Mode was running on the night Celeste ended up in that trunk, somebody could have already pressed delete to erase their tracks before cops even had a chance to see the truth. That Tesla isn't just a crime scene, it's leverage. If investigators can pull that digital diary back up and it shows someone else touching the handles, opening the trunk, or helping with cleanup, that's enough heat for cops to squeeze them until they flip. Imagine an accomplice trading freedom for exposing the real culprit. That's the level of danger sitting inside this car's memory. And when you stack that possibility against what we already know, the encrypted files with her name, the coroner's shaky timeline, and a body hidden in plain sight, it feels like the Tesla itself might be the last witness that can't be silenced. If those Tesla cameras caught something nobody was supposed to see, then all the polished stories from friends and family fall apart. No more gentle, quiet guy image, no more guessing games, just cold, hard receipts, pixel by pixel. But here's the twist. Nobody even knows if the footage exists. Cops raided David's Hollywood Hills home searching for blood and dragged out his electronics. But there's still no word on what they actually pulled from the Tesla itself. That's why fans are whispering non-stop. If no video ever surfaces, does that mean Sentry Mode was never on, or was it wiped clean? Either way, the optics look terrible. In this case, the most powerful witness can't talk, it can only play back. And if that playback shows the wrong face, then this mystery isn't just a mystery anymore, it's evidence. Evidence that could tip the whole case into a straight-up conviction. And now we get to the messiest part, the timeline. None of the receipts add up, and every new detail just cracks the story wider open. Start with the missing persons reports. Celeste was listed as missing 3 separate times in 2024. The last report came in April, months before her body was finally discovered in September. Each time she went missing before, she was found. But the last time, she never came back. And here's the contradiction that makes people stop cold. Teachers testified that Celeste told classmates she'd been talking to David online since she was 13. That connection drags their history way further back than anyone wanted to believe. Allegedly, Celeste once bragged about running away just to meet David, even claiming she'd already been found with him before in Hollywood. That means this wasn't some random last-minute link, it stretched back years. And then came the Discord trail. Screenshots floating online allegedly show her chatting with David as far back as 2022, when she would have only been around 11 or 12. Mods who saw those convos later admitted they assumed she was 18 or 19 because of how she carried herself. But if those screenshots are real, then David was already talking to her while she was still a kid. Fast forward to January 2024, when a live stream clip surfaced that allegedly showed the two of them together, at a time when Celeste was still in middle school. Fans have dissected that video frame by frame, pointing out how natural and comfortable they look side by side. Pair that with the teacher's testimony, and the story of a hidden bond stretching back years starts to feel undeniable. Now stack that against the coroner's findings. Medical examiners reportedly suggested her decomposition didn't perfectly line up with the official dates she was listed missing. And if that's true, it raises chilling questions. Was Celeste still alive after she was last reported gone? Was she hidden somewhere or even moved around before her body was left in that Tesla trunk? And don't forget the encrypted files. Some of the timestamps allegedly overlapped with those same missing months, making the timeline even more suspicious and twisted. While Celeste's family was begging for answers and filing police reports, her name was allegedly sitting in secret folders on David's computer. To fans, that's not random. It's a breadcrumb trail that points straight at him, and the contradictions just keep piling up. On paper, she was missing, but friends and live streams allegedly showed her with David, and then the coroner's science threw in another curveball claiming her decomposition didn't fully match the official dates. 3 stories, 3 timelines, and none of them add up. When truth feels out of reach, people start connecting dots on their own, and that's when the internet turned back to David's music. Suddenly, old lyrics and dark visuals don't look like creativity. They look like warnings hiding in plain sight. Take Romantic Homicide. At first, lines like, "In the back of my mind, I kissed you and I didn't even regret it," sounded like raw heartbreak. But now, with Celeste's body found in his Tesla, those same words feel like a confession dropped in a song. Then, there's the unreleased file fans claim leaked after her death, allegedly titled Celeste Demo Unfin. To his audience, it doesn't sound like art anymore. It feels like evidence. And we can't forget his twisted alter ego, IT Tommy. That character, bloodstained, unhinged, and violent, was played up in his tour visuals. But in hindsight, fans aren't calling it performance. They're calling it a mask hiding the truth. And just when the smoke couldn't get darker, people dug up a TikTok David once reshared, him chopping chicken with the caption, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes." It was brushed off as edgy humor back then. Now it's pure nightmare fuel. That TikTok clip was brushed off as dark humor back then. But today fans are replaying it like it's a window into his mindset. And when you stack it next to a coroner's deferred cause of death, it's hard not to see art bleeding into life, or maybe life bleeding back into the art. Either way, the parallels are chilling. This case now sits in the same category as some of the most controversial autopsies in history. Moments where the so-called science didn't end speculation, it fueled it. Take Kurt Cobain. We all know the official story, but details about weapon position and chemical levels still spark debates decades later. Then there's Aaliyah. Her autopsy confirmed she died from impact in the plane crash, but later leaks claim she was sedated before boarding, rewriting her final hours completely. Princess Diana's French autopsy called it an accident, but British doctors who later examined her body pointed out internal injuries that didn't match. That split-fed conspiracies for years. And Michael Jackson? His death wasn't even ruled a homicide until months later, leaving fans convinced the delay was meant to shield insiders. All of those cases share one haunting detail. The coroner's work didn't kill the rumors, it multiplied them. And that's exactly what's happening here. Playing devil's advocate, sure, a deferred cause of death can be normal. It might just mean toxicology tests aren't done yet. But under the gossip lens, deferred doesn't sound like pending. It sounds like unspoken. It signals that the truth might be too ugly, too political, or too dangerous to ever write down. And that's exactly why people are saying the coroner's report on Celeste doesn't end the story. It keeps the shadows alive. The whispers aren't dying down, they're multiplying. The coroner's report was supposed to end the guessing game, but instead it left everyone trapped in limbo. And that limbo is wrecking everything around David. For him, this isn't just a scandal anymore, it's a full-blown career collapse. Just months ago, he was the quiet TikTok artist who shot to stardom with Romantic Homicide and Here With Me. He had 3 million followers, glossy magazine spreads, and big-name fashion cosigns. Now, his entire calendar is wiped clean. Tours across the US and Europe canceled. A Grammy Museum appearance yanked off the schedule. A fresh Hollister x Crocs campaign scrubbed days after it launched. Even his own label, Interscope under Universal, hit pause on the deluxe release of Withered. And in the industry, silence from your team doesn't mean patience. It means you've turned radioactive, too toxic to touch. Meanwhile, Celeste's tragedy only grows heavier. She was a girl slipping into spaces she shouldn't have been with fake IDs. A girl teachers say bragged about talking to David online way too young. Her family, already crushed by her loss, had to launch a GoFundMe just to cover her funeral. In their words, she was a beloved daughter, sister, cousin, and friend. But her memory is now tangled up with encrypted files, live stream clips, and an autopsy that answers nothing. For the industry, this is a nightmare playbook. Rising stars usually crash over bad tweets or messy interviews, not by having dismembered remains discovered in their car. And that's why this case isn't just tragic. It's career-ending, and maybe even life-changing, depending on what investigators uncover next. Brands don't want smoke, sponsors don't want their names in messy headlines, and collaborators don't want the guilt of being tied to this chaos. And for the culture, the fallout is brutal. When the coroner refuses to commit, the public steps in and commits for them. Fans across TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter aren't waiting for police reports. They're stitching together their own case. Every lyric, every leaked file, every tattoo, every live stream clip has turned into evidence in the court of gossip. The scary part, that court doesn't need proof. It just needs a narrative. And right now, the streets have already written theirs. David went from rising star to public suspect in record time. And no brand or label wants to gamble their reputation on a name drowning in scandal. So what do you think? Is this the end of his career, or just the beginning of one of the darkest celebrity trials we've ever seen? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to hit subscribe to Public Secrets, where the truth always leaks out. One story at a time.